Right guys, 10 testosterone non-negotiables in 2025 to follow. These are things that you guys are going to massively benefit from if you follow these. I've never spoken about most of these before on this channel, so a lot of this is new, and it's put in a way that might get you thinking a little bit. It's absolutely freezing today, so bear with me a little bit. I think it's the coldest day we've had in God knows how long. My hands are going to fall off, so just bear with me a little bit. But I'll get straight into it. So I've got some notes here for once, so don't start forgetting the main points I wanted to talk about. The first one is something I have spoken about before, and it's extremely important when you're not getting much sun. It's red light therapy. Red light therapy first thing in the morning. In the winter, now this is assuming you're not in San Diego or you're not Australian watching this. It's assuming you're in the northern hemisphere really. And you know, any Brits watching this, any Canadians, any Scandinavians, any Germans, this applies to you. Red light therapy first thing in the morning. It covers you on the days when it's not sunny. If you've got loads of sun, then yeah, you don't need the red light therapy for sleep quality, for testosterone, for your circadian rhythm. But when there's no sun out, your circadian rhythm is basically screwed. There's nothing you can do about it apart from get a red light therapy, put it on your face every morning. I won't keep going on about it. The second one is having a bedtime that is within reason. I don't want to put a hard and fast number on this, but this is where guys who work shifts get absolutely screwed. And red light therapy becomes even more important if you're working shifts. First, whenever you wake up, get it on your face first thing. But bedtime, rarely do I go to bed later than 10, half 10. Usually it's a bit earlier. Obviously, the weekends tend to get a little bit, like it depends if I'm doing something social or not. Usually it's just with the girlfriend, so it's nothing too crazy. But there's nothing good comes from going to bed at midnight or 1 in the morning. That, like anywhere in the world now, you're messing up your circadian rhythm by doing that. People like to say they're night owls. They're not from no one from a circadian rhythm standpoint or a testosterone standpoint is truly a night owl. We're humans, we're monkeys, we're all the same. Let's test the testosterone levels of all these night owls and compare it to people who actually have healthy circadian rhythms. I already know what the answer is going to be. Just because you can work on Adderall at 2 in the morning doesn't mean you should. But a bedtime that's reasonable, 10 p.m, 9 p.m, that's kind of important. So you're also going to get more stuff done, generally speaking. It's just a good overall practice to have. Third one, training frequency. All men watching this have to be training at least 3 times a week, every single week without fail. If you're not doing that, something's wrong. Your priorities are a little bit messed up. That doesn't mean you have to train every day, because that's usually counterproductive. You need days off. But 3 to 6 days a week, I would say 3 to 5 days a week, is going to be a non-negotiable for testosterone reasons. For general health honestly, but testosterone as well. You secrete testosterone when you're training, especially lifting weights, especially high intensity cardio. If you're not in the gym, you're missing out on this. It's just, I don't see why you would what would you let get in? If your life is not one entire emergency, so every time you have to go to the gym, there's some emergency that crops up. I don't buy that for a second. I think it's an issue of priorities. Fourth one, training intensity, which is extremely important. There's no point going to the gym and just farting around. You're there for a purpose. You've got to train with a purpose, and that means there's got to be enough stimulus. You've got to break down the muscle tissue, you've got to get the blood flowing, you've got to get a bit of a sweat going, and then that is what really is going to send all the right signals to your body, especially when it's the lower body. because as I've said before, it tends to secrete more testosterone. Leg press tends to be a lot better than tricep rope pushdowns for testosterone. This is. In terms of training intensity as well, a good definition of intensity is how close to failure you are. We can talk about, you know, you're out in the country when there's tractors going by every 5 minutes. Training to failure is a lot more useful than talking about how heavy the weight is. Because you can have some very heavy weights on the bar, and your maximum number of reps for that weight would be 4, let's say, or 5. So it's pretty heavy. And you choose to do singles, 1 rep, or 2 doubles. That isn't a particularly intense set at all, because your RPE is 7 or 8. You've got 2 or 3 reps left in the tank. True intensity is leaving about 1 rep in the tank, so you're really pushing yourself quite hard on that set, or going to failure, which is 0 reps in the tank. Training intensity is foundational because it's the foundational stimulus to incentivize growth, to incentivize change in the body. And that applies to muscle mass, and it applies to testosterone as well. Next one is that your fridge, the 5th non-negotiable is that your fridge is stocked with cholesterol-dense foods. I've said before, cholesterol is a absolute requirement for the synthesis of testosterone, just like vitamin D is. Just like sleep is. And cholesterol, if you don't have any in the fridge, then you're kind of preparing to fail. It's one of those things, you know, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. One of the ways to prepare is have your fridge ready. You know, it's not just about meat, eggs as well. A lot of different animal protein, essentially. Cholesterol is a requirement. People get offended by that, but it doesn't matter because it's true. Following on from that is having your cupboards, so this is number 6, having your cupboards stocked with things like fish, tinned fish that's ready to go, omega-3, some vitamin D, and some calcium quite often, and potatoes, and other good foods. If you're not prepared, then when something bad happens, when you have a busy evening or something goes wrong at work, you're inevitably going to fail with your diet. You're just going to pick the easiest option. And in today's world of quick dopamine and quick fixes, the easiest option is almost always going to be a low testosterone option. So preparation is key. I can do a food tour actually, so you can actually see what's in my cupboards. It might be a good idea. But so there's that. The 7th one is having a certain amount of walking and sunlight every day, and this is on top of the red light, the red lamps. Walking, the human body is designed to walk. It's a great way to get some extra calories burnt without stressing the body out with intense cardio. There are so many fucking cars going past. This is doing my head in. Wow. But the body is designed to move. It's extremely important. And then if you can get some sun on top of the red light, it's going to really lock in that circadian rhythm, which is very easy to mess up at this time of year. And the circadian rhythm is, I don't think people understand the importance of this. It's what controls your sleep, which is one of the biggest fundamentals. It's not just about vitamin D3. It's what controls your sleep. It's what massively influences things like cortisol and adrenaline. especially if you're not taking pre-workouts or any weird drugs that skyrocket your cortisol. Your circadian rhythm is huge. So what makes it also controls cravings for sweets and sugar and things like that. If you've got a massive sweet tooth addiction, you might want to look at your circadian rhythm, vitamin D3 levels. It all ties in together. So yeah, walking and sun, very, very important. 8th one, stress control. And this is stress control above and beyond the stuff I've already spoken about in this video. So, things like meditation. Oh, that reminds me. I had a client call with a guy who joined the Lifetime Consulting about 6 months ago. Not going to give any more details because I think he wants to stay anonymous. But he was suicidal when he first joined. I didn't realize it at the time, but he just told me the other day. And he was like a long time sufferer from anxiety, but he was suicidal at the start, and he lost quite a lot of fat, and he reckons that was a big part of his success more recently. And he also started meditating and doing all sorts of things to control his stress levels. And he reckons the combination of fat loss and the stress control is what has led him to have the best month of his entire human existence so far in the past 20-something years of his life. No exaggeration, this is the happiest he's been ever. And that was a 6-month transformation, I think, or 8 months. And yeah, so fat loss and stress control can potentially change your life because stress impacts the brain. So meditation's huge. Something he was doing, or he's been doing. Journaling can work for some people, like gratitude practices, things like that. But yeah, meditation's any kind of deep breath work. This is where yoga is useful because it forces you, especially if you're following like an instructional video that someone else is doing, forces you to stay flexible and hold certain positions whilst deep breathing at the same time. Very, very useful stuff. So there's yoga as well. Then you've got herbs. You've got things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, L-theanine. Just watching the chaos behind me. L-theanine, B6 can be useful. So there's loads of different supplements that can be useful for controlling cortisol. The 9th one is alcohol control. I'm doing dry January. I think quite a few Brits are. It's extremely helpful. It's not only gonna reduce your body fat levels like automatically, especially if you drink regularly. It's also going to be good for cortisol. It's going to be better for your sleep if you drink in the evenings. Better for your estradiol. Alcohol is estrogenic. All of it, especially beer though. Beer's the worst. IPAs are even worse. Alcohol control, it's nothing but good for your health and for your testosterone levels. Controlling the alcohol, this is. And then finally, having a vitamin D3 supplement on hand. This is a non-negotiable in the winter. Obviously in the summer, depending on the kind of lifestyle you're living, it's not a non-negotiable then. In the winter it is, it's just foundational. And it's amazing the amount of health problems you can have that all come back to a vitamin D3 deficiency. Not just testosterone deficiency or sleep problems or insomnia, but like brain issues, ADHD sometimes. Definitely things like eczema, skin issues, dodgy skin, hair follicles not growing properly. Like quite a lot of it can be traced back to vitamin D3 deficiencies. And the winter obviously is the most dangerous time for that, because the sun, even if you do get a sunny day, it's so low and so weak and so pathetic, it's not really going to do much. And so things like fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, whatever, can be useful. Trout, egg yolks, if you're having a million, they can be useful, but having a good vitamin D3 supplement is probably going to be king in the winter. So they are the 10 testosterone non-negotiables for 2025. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you think other things should be on there as well, or instead of. I'll be curious to hear. If you found this video useful, I think you'll find the cortisol video useful, where I go into a lot of detail on how to achieve your biggest goals in 2025 without stressing yourself out and killing your testosterone. It's no good getting 4 hours of sleep per night and expecting that to be a sustainable thing. I'm not Elon Musk, you're not Elon Musk. There are some freaks of nature out there who can do that. I'm not sure if they've got the highest testosterone, but for normal human beings, you need lower cortisol, you need more sleep. Testosterone is your best friend. You don't want to annihilate it because of some grind hustle culture that sounds like a good idea. So check out that video. I think you'll find it useful. I'll see you there.